But sometimes we in them and we forget who we are and whose we are. So I'm just reminding you today, knowing I got a flight, that you got to make sure that you bring that. So you walk in there, man, let me back up on this a little bit. And your soul, man, is something inside. And it's churning. And you like, what's happening? But then you know what's happening because your soul is screaming out and it's saying, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. See, they're yours. They're yours. They're yours. Do you hear me? They're yours. So you walk in there, man. I am the number one determinant of the success or failure, watch this, y'all, of my, woo, they're yours. Students, they're yours. When you get back, kick some butt. And I'll see you in the winner's circle, celebrating your victory. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Y'all got this, man. Thank you for letting me talk to y'all. Thank you. Woo!
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 227 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got here checking in, man. We got Sharon Wright in Blandon, PA. She said good morning to myself and the Queen. We got Mona Obamolak, who said the same. We said, and she's where's Mona? In Orlando, Florida. We got AP Patrick Lawrence in Connecticut. We got John Few in Chester, South Carolina. Tracy Gray in Houston. Michael Benton, Cincinnati, Ohio. That's my man. We got the good doctor, Rachel Edoweckett in Maryland. Check out her work, y'all. If you don't, she's been on here twice, but check out her work. She's doing things. She one of them people. You're gonna see her later on. You're gonna say, I remember when she was on the AP and New Principals Academy. Now she out here doing a thing big time. Check her out. Mia Lange is in the building, Euless, Texas. We got where we at? We got Janet Royal from Sojourner Truth Middle School. We got one of the fam in the building. Good to see you. Hey Janet Royal, you just come on when Booker's on. Is that what we doing now? When Booker's on, then you show up. I ain't never seen you in 226 weeks. we got Tashika Truesdale in the building. Atlanta, Georgia. Sanford Irwin is in the building. He said, much love to Kafele and Booker. Son of East Orange answering his call and building Minute Morehouse. That's what we talking about. We got Dr. Rella Hicks in Augusta, Takesha High in Virginia, Lysandra Brackens, North Carolina, Rodney Richardson, Hampton, Virginia. Edu Buzz J.A., I guess that means Jamaica. Good morning to you. I'm not sure. It might. Yeah, he says Jamaica in the house. You in Jamaica or you from Jamaica? Or is Jamaica in you? Marsha Poe is in San Diego. Appreciate you getting up early every Saturday, Marsha. That matters. Rod Law, Spanish Academy. He said, Hotep and Harambe. To all, let's educate these babies together. You got that right. Ricardo Giannis is in the building. That's my man out in Texas. He calls me the master. We got Nolene Martin in Allen, Texas. Tracy Farris in L.A. Glad you got up early, man. It's early out there, but you know we bringing them flames, so don't even worry about it. Chancellor Davis is in Vegas. Appreciate you getting up too. Lisa DeBose Walker, she said good morning from, and she hit the send button too quick, so it doesn't say. Right, Ronald Pugh, Cedar Hill, Texas. Stacy Joy, who was my guest the other day. She's right here, LA. If you didn't see the interview with myself and Stacy and Jonathan Austin last week from Newark, we went coast to coast, Newark and LA. You got to check that out, man. They were dropping them gems on us. We got Jacqueline Harriet up there in Nova Scotia in the building. L. Jones Pratt, Texas City, Texas. I'm getting ready to shut it down, y'all. We got Principal McKeever Jeter, Calumet City, Illinois. One day you got to tell me if I'm pronouncing that right, Principal Jeter. All these years, right? Lisa DeBose Walker is in Waco, Texas. Ronald Pugh, I said that one. Cedar Hill, where we at. Tony McClenny is in Battle Creek, from Battle Creek by way of Alexandria, Virginia. I see Dr. Roz Gaskins in the building down there in Maryland. And there's Creating Educator, say good morning from St. Martin. I hear that, because next week I'm going to be saying good morning from Aruba. Now, is it next week? The week after. I'll be leaving next week, but when we do the broadcast, it'll be the week after, because I'm going to be there for a long time. And then I'm going to wrap up with my man here. We got Hayward John, Orangeburg, South Carolina. He said, let's go, Principal Kafele. That's my man. He going to be on here soon, man. I can't wait, man. He going to be speaking life. That's his motto. Speak life. That's how he says it too. Speak life. Yeah, I can't wait for you, Haywood, man. We coming. Let me end with the Queen, man. I see the Queen, man. I ain't seen her in like a week. It was good to come home, man. The Queen, Kimberly Broughton Kafele in the building. We here. I see Josh, MPA Jaguars. I see Champion Principal. He going to be on here too, man. That's my man. All right, yo, I got to stop calling these names out, man. Asia Burnett is from New Jersey, so I'll end with New Jersey, right? With that being said, let me say to everybody formally now, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 227 of the AP and New Principals Academy. And like I always say, y'all, listen, I don't know about you, but I think I know, because you tuned in. That tells me one or two things. Either you got that fire or you tuned in to get that fire. So if you tuned in to get that fire, you tuned into the right place, because I got that fire. Let me prove to you what I mean. I'm, y'all feel that? On, you feel that? Fire! Woo! Woo! Booker, my guest, man, he been in the back. He like, yo, I don't even know this side of Kafele, man. A lot of folks tune in here. They don't know this side, man. You being that principal, you got putting up that posture, man, you know. But there was another side of me. If I could go back to be a principal again, I would not be that guy I used to be, man. I mean, I still have my authority, but I want people to know I got that fire too, man. I guess they knew I had that fire, but they ain't see me laugh, man. That's the part I regret. They ain't see me laugh. North Tech saw me laugh, but them other schools didn't, right? So anyway, hey, y'all, welcome. Let me give my rundown. Shout out to Rochester, New York, and Rochester City Schools Leadership Summit, man. Saw it not robbery to invite me for not one day, but 2 days, right? Just talking to the leaders of the district. Shout out to Demario Strickland, the new superintendent. He's called interim superintendent right now, but after he establishes himself and shows to them that he was the right person for the job, it will be Superintendent Strickland. I know that. I feel that, right? So shout out to them. I also spoke at their teacher summit, which was back in the beginning of the summer in June. Shout out to School 17 in Rochester. Brought me out just to talk to their staff, man. Shout out to School 17 staff. I hope some of y'all are on here under the leadership of the great principal, Damaris Soteris. We had a great time in School 17. Shout out to Avon Maitland School District in Ontario, Canada, under the leadership of Superintendent April Smith. Man, had a great morning. chopping it up with the folks out there. Had to drive 4 hours from Rochester to get there, then 4 hours back to Rochester to go because there was a break in between. I spoke in Canada, but then went back to Rochester for the school. And it didn't make sense to fly because they were connecting me in Chicago. And when you go to O'Hare, you can pretty much bet the house that there's going to be some kind of delay and you might miss your flight. So I said, I ain't messing with that. Let me just jump in this car and make that drive. So that's what it was. Welcome to the first timers. If this is in fact your first time, don't let it be your last time. But if it's your first time, that means you missed 226 powerful sessions of the AP and New Principals Academy. So if you did miss it, just go to YouTube, AP and New Principals Academy, hit the subscribe button. Again, hit the subscribe button one more time, hit the subscribe button and be a part of this family, this ever-growing family of school leaders, assistant principals, aspiring principals. And even though we call it AP and New Principal Academy, I will say that Veterans Watch is for you. Superintendents Watch, it's for you. Commissioners of Education Watch, it's for you. I know that the Secretary of Education knows about it. I don't know if he watches, but I know he knows it exists. So because I know him. So make sure that you are subscribing and watching. And yeah, I see you, Vicky Gorman Baxter, and she'll be on soon too. Demario was up out in Buffalo as well, and now here he is in Rochester. For those that don't know, I would think you all know, but we are back on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. My little YouTube experiment where we would be exclusively YouTube. I didn't like it. So we are back on all 4 of the platforms. So just whatever's best for you, whatever you like most, we're there, right? Join me at the School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele on October 8 and 9. This is the makeup from the hurricane-ruined institute that I was going to do in Houston in July. We did it, but we did it virtually. But we'd like to see you come in person. I know that's going to be a challenge, October 8 and 9, the beginning of the school year. But right now it's on. So October 8 and 9, Houston, just Google School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele 2024. And then the Eventbrite page will come up. Again, Google School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele 2024, and it'll come up. We'll be there 2 days, October 8 and 9. And my topic, what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? That is the title of my new book. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? The new book comes out in December, but it will be up. It'll be available for pre-order in October. So that's right around the corner. And then we'll do that institute October 8 and 9. Real quick, the books that coincide with the Saturday Academy, the Assistant Principal 50. These are all by yours truly. The Assistant Principal Identity, the Principal 50, the Aspiring Principal 50, and Is My School a Better School Because I Lead It? Once the new book comes out in December, which can be pre-ordered in October, what is my value to the teacher? What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Then you can pre-order that from ASCD. Right, ASCD.org. ASCD is my exclusive publisher. So, that's who I'm rocking with. I've been rocking with them for since 2008, I should say. And this will be the 10th book that they've published of my writings. So, we good. That's a good solid relationship. And then lastly, before I jump into my conversation with my guest, I want to go to Corsicana ISD. Right. Some of you may not know what I'm talking about by that language. Corsicana ISD. Corsicana in Texas, the school districts are not called school district. They're called ISD, Independent School District. So Corsicana ISD is the district and the school, Collins Intermediate School. I'm hoping that I'm preaching to the choir, that you are all familiar with this. But Kendra Rogers, the assistant principal, is I just want to recognize her today. I have no idea if she's a family member of this platform, or if she even knows it exists. But this is the young lady, the assistant principal, that had her eye knocked out of the socket by doing her job highly effectively. Right, I'm gonna say that again, by doing her job highly effectively. Right. She and the other administrators got a call that there was a commotion in a classroom of a student that came from a behavioral specialist. So she understood the nature of the challenge of the kid. So she went there, and in the classroom just desks strewn all over the place. And she went in there, and as I listened to her entire press conference, and hopefully you all did, if you didn't, you can go to YouTube and listen to it. And she said, I went in calm. I went in there to de-escalate. So I went in there calm. I didn't go in there excited, right? I went in there calm, and the youngster threw a desk at her, but she caught it with her hand. But then another assistant principal walked in, and the youngster threw 11-year-old, by the way, through the desk at the other assistant principal. But she took her desk and she shielded it. I mean, her I'm saying desk, chair, right through the chair of the assistant principal, and she used her chair to shield the other assistant principal. But then the youngster threw a hanger, a wooden hanger, and it hit her in the eye, and the eye came out blood all over the place. And she's probably, although as she said, she's believing in God, but right now she's blind in that eye. It's back in, it's surgically, but the bottom line is that she could lose her eyesight in that eye. She could be permanently blind, right? I'm bringing her up for the reason of the platform, the existence of this platform. We're talking about an AP. Those of you who are in this business, you know that anything can happen in a school. I would think we've all been there. I haven't been there to that extent, obviously, of Kendra Rogers, but I've been there. My guest, Kevin Booker, I'm sure he's been there. Most of you on this thread, I'm sure you've been there, right? Again, not maybe to that extreme, but just something that wasn't the reason that you signed up for this position, something that wasn't in the job description, right? We've been there. Things happen, but it boils down to, number one, how we handle it, but number two, what is the district doing? What is the state doing? And this is what she talked about in her press conference. She literally called out the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, to say that the schools in Texas are being funded based on 2019 funding. This is what she was saying, right? She said that there's a $32 billion surplus in Texas. What are we doing with that money, right? She was talking about the things that could be done to minimize the possibility of situations like this arising. So again, I just want to salute Kendra Rogers, right? I want to salute her. I want to let her know that us as a family here at the AP New Principals Academy, that our thoughts and our prayers are with her, right? And hoping for a speedy recovery, hoping for a miracle, that her sight is restored back to normal. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, and hopefully things will improve for that youngster, because at the end of the day, we are in school for those youngsters, right? We are in leadership for those youngsters. So hopefully things will improve for him, as opposed to living that life that he's living right now, right? We can't blame him for what happened because we don't know what's going on inside. That's why the youngster was had this particular classification that he had, and that he was in the particular class that he was in, right? So again, thoughts, prayers, salute to Assistant Principal Kendra Rogers. Enough said. Let's go. I got a guest today, but this is the first time ever, 227 weeks, that I said in the promo that I have a very special guest. Usually I say I got a guest, I got a special guest, but I've never said very special guest, but that's what I got today. I see you, Jennifer Longo, man. We got East Orange in the building, man. I got a very special guest here. So let me bring my guest up here. And we got the one and only former principal, current dean, current vice president at Morehouse College, Mr. Kevin Booker in the building. Morning, sir.
Morning, sir. Morning. And I want to open with saying greetings to everyone, Hotep, to all those good folks out there. But most importantly, I want to say I've seen Baruti Kafele laugh 25 years ago on many occasions. So don't sit up here and tell folks you didn't.
Hey, man, I don't know, man. I can't remember that far back.
Great laughs back in the day. But hello to all our former students, our faculty that worked under our leadership, and with us side by side. We had a tremendous journey in this field of education. So I look forward to the conversation today, brother.
I appreciate you. I look forward well. And, folks out there, I'm gonna just go off script for a little while, for a minute. I called this, I didn't know what to call it, so I called it a first year principal and a first year assistant principal reconnect 25 years later. That's what I called it, because I kind of knew what I was going to talk about, but I didn't know where the conversation might go. So I said, let me just give it this generic name, and that's essentially what it is. We became partners as principal, assistant principal, me a first year principal and him a first year assistant principal, fresh out of the classroom. And we had to figure this thing out together. I didn't know what I was doing, and he probably didn't know what he was doing. We'd never done this before. We've never, what me in my position, I'd never done it before. Him in his position, he'd never done it before. But someone saw fit, our superintendent, to put us together, right? They didn't choose us. I chose Booker to be my AP, right? I said, I want him, right? So they saw fit to say, okay, we'll support you. And here we were. So let me read the bio first, y'all. I want y'all to know who's in here, who's in the building. Kevin R. Booker is a native of East Orange, New Jersey. And I'm going to say this about East Orange real quick. I said it yesterday when I was at New Horizons Community School with the great Dr. Stephen Webb, who's the principal there, but he's also a pastor. He's also a former principal, but he's also was the former head custodian at the school where I first taught in New Jersey, in East Orange, New Jersey. So imagine that. And he's been a guest on here, so you know the story, but, went from head custodian to PhD or EDD, whichever one he has, doctorate degree, but also pastor, principal, doing big things. And I see that you're on here, Webb. So you saw what I wrote this morning. Want to see that book, man? That's a book that we need. We all need it. We need that book to understand how you had this vision of where you are today. So you're probably working on it. I'm sure you conceptualized it, but I'm just saying it publicly for everybody. But Kevin R. Booker, native of East Orange, New Jersey, has over 27 years of experience in education. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in real estate and finance from Morehouse College, and received his Master of Arts degree in educational leadership, administration and supervision from St. Peter's University in Jersey City, New Jersey. He began his career as an educator in 1994, teaching in both East Orange and Newark public schools, and later moved to Georgia and completed his K-12 education career working in Clayton County public school system. During his 13-year career in public education, Kevin held the following positions: teacher, dean of discipline, coach of several academic and athletic teams, assistant principal. Kevin describes returning to his beloved alma mater, Morehouse College, like going full circle in the field of education. During the past 14 years while working at Morehouse, 14 of his former K-12 students have graduated from Atlanta University Center institutions, including 4 from Morehouse. Kevin started his Morehouse career as the director of new student orientation, later served as the associate dean of the college, followed by a promotion to the position of associate vice president for student life, and was recently appointed vice president for student services and dean of the college. Under his leadership, several student leaders and organizations have received national awards and honors. He is most proud of the 51 Morehouse men that he's mentored that have productive careers in education, developing today's youth. Kevin is the proud father of 3 wonderful children. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. He told me he sent me the short version, so I know that there's more to it, but that's powerful stuff. Let's jump into it. I'm gonna be calling you back and forth, Kevin and Booker, but probably primarily Booker. But because until you get that doctorate, then we go full circle with it, right? But I know more about you than just the educator. There's a full man there. But I want to compartmentalize you and just look at the educator for a second. As I ask every guest who's ever been on this platform, I ask you the same question. Who, as an educator in isolation, who is Kevin Booker?
It's a wonderful question to begin with, Brother Kafele. And I start by saying first, he's a human being, right? A human being that cares about making a difference in the lives of others, cares about what his final epitaph will be when life is said and done, in terms of the impact that he's made while living on this planet. I want to leave the world a better place than how I entered it, and one who feels that he has the ability to connect with others in ways that many people can't. I love students that have, or young people that have challenges, i.e., disabilities and/or uh, may have some social or difficult pathways to where they are at whatever point in their life. I also feel that I'm also a builder of people. I love to see those that I work with win all the time. And if that means promoting them up or building them up or coaching them up, that's part of who I am. I think I'm ultimately a coach, a teacher, a builder at heart. And I've tried to, at least in the second half of my life, emulate all those passions. I come from humble beginnings. You and I both, coming from East Orange. We grew up in, I guess, what we would call blue collar families.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a contractor. My mom was a kindergarten teacher in Newark Public Schools for 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing but respect for hardworking people. We grew up in East Orange at a time when it was going through transition. So East Orange helped shape me. Going to high school in Newark helped shape me. So streetwise, and couple that with our education in collegiate and throughout our experience in life, has created a well-rounded person that is doing some significant things to improve the lives of young people. So in a nutshell, that's who I am.
I love it. I'm gonna push you a little bit deeper on that. In the beginning of that statement, you said you want to leave the world a little bit better than it was when you entered it. Give us an example, a tangible example of something that you could do, because we're not talking about literally the entire globe, right? But we're saying in terms of that space where you occupy, give us something that it will be better because of this contribution you made than if you didn't make that contribution.
The examples are shining, right? They're right in front of us right now.
They're right on the thread.
Right? They're all listed down here. And I don't want to name any names because I don't want to leave anyone out.
Right.
But we don't understand sometimes as educators, how powerful the words we provide to our students, how they affect them. And I had a conversation with a student. I won't put her name out. Yesterday, she called me. She is now the mother of two sons. She lives here in Georgia. I was her sixth grade teacher, and now her son wants to come to Morehouse.
Wow.
We were on the phone for 1 hour last night, not only talking about how do we transition her son to be college ready, but parenting, right? This was my student. So I think the magic that, or the secret sauce that we have is the ability to connect with people in ways that most educators don't. We want a connection for life. It's not for a period of time. We want to see these young people succeed and develop. So I think it's amazing after 30 plus years to be able to reconnect with a student that you taught in sixth grade who's now sending her son to your institution. That's incredible. So I think the reason why that can happen is because of the way that I taught her, the way I spent time with her to feel comfortable being able to come to me and say, hey, not only does my son want to go to Morehouse, but I need your help in helping him get there. So that's just a small example. So
that's powerful, though.
Shout out to all the work that we've done, man. But all of these young people that are on this call that are now raising children, being productive citizens. That's all we wanted for them, is to be productive citizens and make their impact. So we're doing it. We're doing it.
I love it. I want to say to all the former students who are on this thread right now, whether it be a truth when you and I were together, or folks that I had when I wasn't with you, or folks you had when you weren't with me, who are on this thread now, and staff, right? We don't take that lightly that you're here. and certainly the thread yesterday when I posted that you were going to be on, you and I both made a comment about that, and we don't take that lightly. That matters because it's, we were with you. You all are adults, like in your 40s, right? And so we're 30s and 40s, I guess 40s, right? So we don't take it lightly that all these years later, last time I saw that I was in the building was 2002, and here we are 2024, and you all saw it not robbery to be here, but for you to know we're here, you were already connected to us, right? So all of that matters. So that's just that in and of itself is a world changer, right? Good stuff. Let's keep going. Booker, you notice about me. I think a lot of people on the thread will probably notice about me. I'm going back to my teacher days on this one. I'm going to go back to your teacher days on this one. I wasn't just someone who walked into a classroom and taught content.
Sure.
We teach children first, content secondarily. But I had a foundation upon which I stand. I was rooted in something. I was rooted in two things, which are the one and the same. I was rooted in the title, The Miseducation of the Negro. But simultaneously, I was rooted in the book, The Miseducation of the Negro. And therefore, one could say the author, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. So philosophically, The Miseducation of the Negro, the title alone drove everything I did in that classroom. It epitomized who I was. So if someone were to ask me philosophically, Kafele, who were you as a teacher? I'm saying the contents of The Miseducation of the Negro. I took that literally, and I wanted it to be my foundation for the work that I did as a classroom teacher. Here's my question to you. To go beyond the question of who is Kevin Booker as a teacher, as an educator. My question to you is, what drove your practice as a teacher? Because obviously you were good at what you did, great at what you did, but what was driving that?
Right. So for me, a little different. It wasn't a book that moved me, although the autobiography of Malcolm X helped shape my life. Right. Claude Brown's Man-Child in the Promised Land. That was another big book for me, but it wasn't necessarily a book. It was circumstances in my life. So when I was 23 years old, unfortunately, I was a victim of gun violence in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I got shot, and I was outside of a nightclub where I was celebrating a friend's that was about to get married the next day. It was during that time we wound up getting in a scuffle outside the club. A 17-year-old that I wound up punching got up off the ground and pulled out a 45 and shot me. It was at that time my life completely changed. Prior to that, I had no ambition to become an educator. I didn't really know what my future would hold. I was more interested in entrepreneurship than anything else. But I think during that time, this is where the autobiography of Malcolm X kicks in. I had time. I had time to really think about how I wanted to live the rest of my life. I had time to think about a 17-year-old shooting me and what that meant to the community that I was in and what I experienced. And I had time to really see what life had in store for me. In Malcolm X's book, he said there's two places a man can go to develop. He said prison and college, or a person, right? Prison or college. And I challenged that. I said, also when a person is healing or injured or sick, they have time to develop. So it was during that time that I had some really heartfelt conversations with my family, particularly my brother, who's probably on the call now, Michael Booker, someone that I looked up to and admired. Many know my brother was the all-time leading scorer at East Orange High in basketball.
A legend.
And a legend in the Hall of Fame like you in East Orange. So much respect for my brother. And we had some real heartfelt conversations. And sometimes you see your skill set within you, but you don't necessarily realize your talent. And I'm sure this is going to come up in a minute when we talk as well. But my brother saw my talents in me, as well as my mother and all the people that you're close to. You don't want to hear it from them.
Yeah.
But I came to the realization I have a gift working with young people. And I was at that time that I recovered, that I really polished those skills and said, I'm going to step up and do something different than what I envisioned for myself. I'm going to listen to what God has demonstrated and showed me where my skill set lies. And I'm going to reach for that and see where it lands me. I'm going to listen to God and not listen to that voice in my head that's been telling me all these other things that I should do. And once I set on that path, life has never been the same. A lot of people think that you cannot acquire wealth in education. I say shame on those folks. Being an educator has provided me wealth beyond anything I've ever dreamed of. It may not be monetary, but relationship-wise, I'm the wealthiest man in the world. And it's because I listened to God in a horrible circumstance during my life. And I surrounded myself by great people like you and all the wonderful educators we work with, that I've been able to develop and do something special. And forever grateful for that. So for me, it was an incident with a period of time to develop and reach a point where I could figure out that education was my path.
I love it. That's powerful stuff. And I'm looking at the thread while you speak, and there's a lot of people on here riding with you. Of course I'm seeing all 4 platforms as opposed to what you may be seeing in one. There's a lot being said here. Booker, I'm going back to our truth days now, Sojourner Truth Middle School, and I'm appointed principal. But now it's time to appoint an assistant principal. I don't know anything about principal leadership, nothing. All I know is what I got in grad school and the observations that I made of my principal from afar, like just watching him, but not being in his shoes. So now I've got to appoint somebody. I've got to select somebody, and then the board will appoint somebody. And you and I have a conversation. And I'm convinced you're my guy. So I make the recommendation, and you become not only my assistant principal, but you became the epitome, and I say this sincerely, the epitome of what an assistant principal should be to a principal. Now, in my case, a principal who's brand new. He's a young lion. He's hungry, but he's still got to figure this out, right? So my question to you, because I can say publicly as well as privately that you were so good at what you did. You were, and Stoddard just said, absolutely. You were so good at what you did. You were so effective in your role from day one in being an AP, but simultaneously being an asset and support to this rookie principal. My question to you, I want you to dig deep on this one. What is it that made you so prepared to be so effective and to be such an asset to me, to the school, to the staff, and to the students?
Great question, but I'm going to take you back before I start answering. We were both visionary leaders, right? Prior to even becoming principals or assistant principals. As teachers, we were already leading, and we realized that. We saw our classroom as our schools.
Yeah.
And the way we treated and taught students was not the same as most, right? So we were invested way before we became principal and assistant principal.
Yeah.
You may recall this, our initial conversation about teaming up was probably 5 years. I mean, not that many, maybe 2 years before it actually happened. We were in Atlantic City, right? I pulled you to the side. Yeah, I pulled you to the side. We were at the convention, and I said to you, Kafele, imagine if they put us together. I think I got a Teacher of the Year honor or something. And you had been Teacher of the Year, numerous accolades. I had substituted in your class. I never seen a classroom that organized in all my years I substitute taught for 2 years. I substitute taught in Newark. I love teaching so much that I substitute taught in Newark on my days off in East Orange. That's crazy, but I love kids and I wanted to perfect what I was trying to do. But the person that I admired most in our system as a teacher was you. And I said, if I can model what this guy does, not be the same, because nobody can be Kafele, right? but if I could do and move kids like this brother can, I'm going to be special. So here we go, everybody. Here's a jewel. Surround yourself by great people. I didn't wait. I knew who you were. Our families knew each other, but we weren't best friends. We had no connection outside of working in East Orange. So I stepped to Kafele and I said, hey, man, I want to work with you. Let's figure out how we can make that happen. Fast forward 3 years later, in my mind, I already saw it. So when we stepped in there, I knew what you would do, and I knew what I would do. So having the vision and the passion to not only visualize what you want, but to step forward and go for it, right? If I didn't have that conversation with you, we may not have been principals together.
Yeah.
You know, if I didn't take that risk to feel confident in saying, hey, man, I like what you're doing, and I see you, I want you to see me and what we could do together. And I think that conversation led to your mind saying, hey, man, book's ready. Let's give them a shot. And we were young.
We were young.
Well, we were the youngest.
You were super young.
Yeah, I was really young. Yeah, I was 26 or 27, which is young by East Orange standards. We got and shout out to Henry Hamilton, who's still doing it, 80 plus years old. 85 years old, man. And Hamilton was our guy, man. But we had so much support around us because of the work that we had done. And one thing I want to say that helped me ground me in getting ready is I believed in taking our kids out of the city, right? And we didn't work in a district where we had a lot of money. But if our kids went to a competition, and they did, when they went to competitions, they represented because we coached them. You know, not just myself, but several folks, Jay James, Paulette Rainey Solomon, my Healy days, Stoddard, Smith, Stackhouse, Chase. We put them kids on platforms where they can be exposed outside of the city, and they kicked butt and took names. But getting our kids out of the city and sharing other areas and opportunities with them was probably one of the major things that we did and we pushed as teachers as well as leaders. And I think that helped bring us and our students in a different light than other schools. We were in the newspaper every week.
Yeah, I was just looking at the scrapbook last night.
Every week, because we pushed our kids and we celebrated our kids. Students don't care what you know. They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us are brilliant and bright in our own way. They don't care about that.
Yeah.
What do students care about? How much do you care and how much are you going to invest in them? And we invested in those kids after hours. Nobody left our school at 4 o'clock. We were all there, grinding, getting ready for the next day, or dealing with those students that needed more, right? I think about Whitlock, who's gone now. Chess Club was full of people, man.
Mm-hmm.
We made the school a safe haven for our students. And you and I battled gangs, most of our educational career, especially them damn Bloods, boy. But we weren't scared.
No.
We knew we had a job to do. And our job was to protect and educate those kids. And that's what we did. We cared. And so it starts first with caring. And I think we had that, and we had a vision for how we wanted to do it. And we weren't going to accept no as an answer. And our philosophy became the philosophy of our teachers. And I think if we weren't in that building, it would have been self-managed, because we had how many principals and assistant principals came out of Truth?
Yeah, a whole lot.
We have about 9 or 10 now.
Yeah. Because
of the tone that we set and the example we gave. We never expected anyone to do more than what we did because we tried to do the most. And we tried to do it in a healthy way. So I think we were very productive at it.
So, so to the fam out there, I would ask Booker this question because although I wanted to have a conversation, sort of like an interview, something I haven't really done. It's always the work, but I wanted to take the conversation and make sure that the work is still coming. So you heard everything he just said, fam, out there on the other side of my camera, and I'm holding up a mirror for you, Josh. I hope it's clean. Let's see. Here we go. And I'm holding up a mirror for you to say, what is it you're doing, particularly the principals who are on right now, to ensure that you have this kind of relationship? Because make no mistake about it, out of the professional relationship grew a very strong friendship. Let's be very clear there. But it's not a friendship that existed beforehand, as was just said. But as a result, it became a genuine friendship. So that just made the work that much easier. It made it that much more enjoyable, etc. Because it's a lot of folks who are in these AP principal relationships that are toxic. They're not good, right? So how do you lead at an optimal level when you can't stand the sight of the person that you work closest with, right? So keep all that in mind. Ask yourself what I might need to do differently moving forward this year to ensure that this relationship is a solid relationship, or if it's a larger team, relationships are solid relationships, which everybody's going to benefit from throughout that building, right? Let's keep going. I'm staying truth. With everything you just said, one of the observations that I always made was that your relationship with the young people was solid. The young people, they loved you, they adored you, they respected you. They look forward to talking, even if you had to suspend somebody, which we did.
Yeah,
They didn't dislike us, right? It's just had to take it on the chin, right? But the relationship and the respect was still, the admiration was still there. So my question to you, or yeah, talk or a statement to you, talk to us about how you position yourself. Think about how we use that word in sports, like on defense, how one positions themselves so that we prevent the offense from scoring. How did you position yourself that young people did in fact adore you, appreciate you, respect you as a new AP going into your second, third year? While I was there, you were still new in the game. I was still new in the game.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't have the voice of Kafele, so
Oh, please.
that authoritative piece from the voice may not have existed, but it's about being vulnerable, right? I think every human being wants to feel a connection to another human being. And the realization of that is what caused me to be vulnerable to that connection. Our young people are developing that skill, so they really don't know how to do it, right? So it comes from us. Again, the power of words, what we say. Every day we had a mantra, we had principles, we had values, we had a creed. All of those things help add to shape who our students became, right? I'm looking at Brittany putting it in now. I mean, honor, pride, personal integrity are among my greatest assets. I myself control the extent and quality of these traits. Being able to spit that back to a student who just heard it from you and help them make the connections to what those words meant brought value. And they felt it from us, right? We were there. And I learned some of this from you. When students got off the bus, we were there. When students left to get on the bus, we were there. And we had to be honest with you, because we were in a neighborhood that was not nice, right? But we were there to greet them. We also were at the apex of the car theft rings in Essex County.
Yeah.
So stolen car to run through our bus area, it's like a movie, right? I mean, Lean on Me was really our lives, right?
Yeah.
And we lived that. I mean, it was one of our favorite films. I know it's yours.
Yeah.
It was one of mine as well. So we wanted to embody Joe Clark with a little bit more sensitivity and personality.
Yeah.
Right? No shade to Joe, because he was an amazing leader. God rest his soul. But I think in order to make the impact that we have been able to make in our lives, we had to connect with students in a way that other leaders up until our time were not. And we did that by by demonstrating love and respect every day. We called them sir, miss.
Yeah.
We didn't know their name until we learned their name. And when we learned their names, we spoke to them by their names. And, they posted know because they know it's real. I mean, we made genuine and still make genuine connections. My life at Morehouse, I'm at weddings, funerals, baptisms, and these aren't my sons, but they are,
Yeah.
right? If I get to know you and touch you, you're connected to me for the rest of my life, even if I don't speak to you every day. It's nothing but love, because how are we supposed to live, right? And we're developing good citizens. We want people that's going to go out and change the world. I don't think I educated many drug dealers and criminals. Most of the students that I had the opportunity to touch went on to do productive things. I'm sure some fell short, but most of them are living productive lives, and they can't wait to share what they're doing and how they're doing it. And when they come back as educators, we got quite a few that are in the system that we taught.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And now are administrators and or teachers. That's amazing to me. So we did something right. But I think it started with giving of ourselves.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, fully. Same line of thinking with the previous question, but now I want to look at staff. I'm in a principal's role, and I get to see your relationship with them through my lens. So I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it year 2. I'm looking at it year 3. And I can say beyond the shadow of a doubt that we had a staff that adored you. We had a staff that respected you, but we also had a staff that would confide in you, right? I know, I don't know the extent of the conversations, but I know you were having one-on-ones with folks about a variety of different things. And I think that they needed that. So similar question. What was it that prepared you to be able to step into a role where you were with children all day? Because neither one of us had supervised adults before. This was new to us.
True.
So now here we are in this new world of supervising, evaluating adults like us, right? What prepared you to go in there and be able to do that at 26 years old?
So I got to call you out on another one. You're right, but not exactly right. What did we do the summers before we became APs and principals?
Oh yeah,
We worked summer programs.
That bell on your side, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah. Let me cut. My fault, bro. I know how you are with noise.
I sent Ken Williams a text just now, and he's here.
That's my brother from Morehouse, doing it big out there on the circuit. But anyway, nevertheless, we worked summer programs where we served as leaders. So we got our feet wet early, right? And fortunately, the principals of those schools were confident in us because of the way we presented ourselves and the way we taught our classes. So we did have some experience. But again, just like students, so are your teachers. They want honesty and trust, right? They want compassion. They want folks that are demonstrating leadership. One of the values in leadership that I always keep in the front of my mind is I ask myself, am I modeling the way? Am I showing people what I want them to be as not just a professional, but as a leader? I see leadership in everyone, right, that I work with, but it's how do you get them to see it? How do you get them to coach them to see it? And most of the time it comes easy. Funny story, and I think you remember this. I came into Truth and I had grown up in East Orange with 2 of our teachers' sons. I went to high school with their sons. One of those teachers' sons I got in some trouble with. I wasn't the same person I was as an educator as a teenager. So as a teenager, we make a lot of mistakes. And I kept her son out one night till about 3, 4 in the morning, which was not a good thing to do, but it's the truth. But now I am this teacher's supervisor, right? And she still remembers little Kevin Booker, who had her son out in the street till 3, 4 in the morning. So there was a tone of, I'm not sure about this guy. So this was probably my biggest challenge. And I'm in my I'm in my mid to late 20s in this role. And of course, she's an older teacher, probably been teaching maybe 50, more than that, about 18, 19 years at that point. And I had to have a real discussion with her about who I am now and who I was then,
Yeah.
right? But being able to put myself in a position to be confident enough to have that level of conversation
Yeah.
was critical, because she couldn't see past little Kevin Booker. But this ain't little Kevin Booker. That's
Right.
your AP.
Right.
I could change your life, right? In a negative way. But that's not the perspective that I was coming in there with.
Right.
My perspective was, how do we win? How do we all win? There might be some challenge with me being a young man that you saw grow up, being your leader now, but I'm here. And you got to respect that, because I'm going to respect you just as I did when I was little Kevin Booker.
Yeah.
So having those difficult conversations with those that might need them early is good. And just being genuine and real. If you're not being your authentic self, you're not going to get authentic results, right? I want to say that again.
Yeah.
If you're not being your authentic self, you will not get authentic results. You know, no matter how much you admire someone, and I admired the hell out of you, Brother Kafele.
I appreciate you.
I could not be you, right? I had to be Kevin Booker. So you can't emulate someone else, no matter how hard you try. You have to look at what are your strengths and lead to those strengths, and make those strengths how you go out through your day to day in your profession. So all aspiring APs, principals, or leaders in general, be your authentic self and lead to your strengths.
Love it, and I learned some things in that one. You know, good stuff. You know, before we get to those talking points, I just got a couple more that I want to throw at you. You know, anybody that knows me from the Truth days, I went to the superintendent, Dr. John Howard Jr., and I went to him and said to him, I introduced to him that I wanted to institute an institute of African-centered studies. I didn't know what he was going to say. You know, I wanted to write curriculum for the for African American History 1, African American History 2, which I wrote both curriculum, and then I got some folks together who wrote curriculum for Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. In fact, one of them was on the broadcast with us some time ago, Principal Chase. So we went on and wrote that, and I'm assuming you there just got your camera off for a second. So we went on and wrote that and created this program, the Institute of African-Centered Studies, as a magnet to go along with our current magnet of science and technology. One of those teachers is on the call, Janet Royal. So that became my baby. And you, Booker, which I'm assuming you're there. If not, I'm going to answer my own question. Yeah, you there. So you bought into the idea that I had. You bought into it. You supported it. You took ownership of it. And it wasn't just the classes. It was the infusion into curriculum of current curriculum. It was the electives, obviously, but also it was the culture of the building. It was bringing in the various speakers that we brought in. It was doing the various things that we did, the assemblies, the programs, Stoddard, Small Valley, Phillips, and all that kind of stuff that we were doing. So here's where I'm going with that long explanation. What are your thoughts about that program? But more importantly, what are your thoughts about the merits of a program like that in schools where there are a preponderance of African American children?
Phenomenal experience. Both of us were historians by heart, historians at heart. So if you walked into our building, everyone, you would see that we were very proud of our history and our culture.
Yeah.
And we wanted our students to feel that presence every day. And we challenge them to live a life like the heroes and heroines that were on the walls throughout our building. It's hard to be what you can't see, right? And knowledge of self is very important. So to adopt that curriculum, was easy. It was a breeze. And prior to coming to Over the Truth at Healy, I was already doing work with National History Day, which we brought Over the Truth. And with Smith and Chase, we had our students going into history competitions where they got to share our story. And a lot of those stories that were shared were developed through the curriculum that we had available to us. And it's needed. Again, a knowledge of self and becoming who you desire to be. You need to know where your past is and what great richness and wealth you came from.
Yeah.
So when we talk about Massa Musa or whatever we're speaking of as it relates to our past, we need to understand that we're great. The creators, Imhotep, creators of mathematics, science, all of those wonderful things. It's important for our young people to know so that they know that talking about greatness is not irrelevant. This is who you are. So it was the no-brainer, Kafele, for us to do what we did. And then we always talked Afrocentric with our students.
Yeah.
So they would be passionate and strong and confident. I think Awe and so many other the young people that came out from Truth that went on to do amazing things in college. Debates, spelling bees. They're competing against kids who come from wealthy families. And we know our socioeconomic situation at Truth was significantly different. But to stand on a stage and hold your own in a competition amongst someone that has so much more material wealth than you helps a student grow 10 times faster and greater than it would be just sitting in a classroom. You go out there and compete against other students that don't look like you and win and defeat them, that builds a confidence that you can't even begin to imagine.
That's
And
right.
we had that.
That's right.
We had that.
Stay with you forever.
Yep.
In the glory days we had at Sojourner Truth Middle School. I got a question for you that and this is my last, and then we're gonna go to those talking points. I've never had this conversation with you before, and I literally sat here and wrote this morning. It's a little layered, and I said, should I? And then I said, yeah, let me put this out here in the universe. I stayed at Sojourner Truth as a principal. Now, forget about my AP time, but my principal, I stayed there for 3 years, and then I left. I left at a time when the work was not finished. It was nowhere near finished. We had a nice little increase in test scores from the year prior to that year, and not on the strength of the scores, but me having this inner desire to take the African-centered studies program model to a different part of New Jersey. So to Plainfield, New Jersey, right? But got homesick. We're not going to get into all the specificity of my homesickness. That's for another day. It will be on this platform, but not right now. I got homesick and I came back, but I didn't come back to your school, where you became my successor as principal. I came back and was in a school next door, adjacent. So here's where I'm going with this. I always tell people my biggest regret in all of education is leaving Sojourner Truth prematurely. But then I contradicted by saying, but I'm not, and I'll put air quotes up, I'm not Principal Kafele. See, y'all didn't know me as Principal Kafele. You knew me as Baruti Kafele, Mr. Kafele. Principal Kafele is something that came about later. So I'm not Principal Kafele. Principal Kafele is not a school principal. Principal Kafele is a public speaker and a consultant, right? No one in their lives called me Principal Kafele except one parent who, when I was at Healy, I think I was at Healy, might have been the Truth, who was from England and called me Principal Kafele. I was at Healy because Stallings was with me. Called me Principal Kafele. It shook me like nothing ever shook me as far as identity ever. And I said, that's my name. But I used it as my work name outside of school.
Right.
So I'm saying that to say this. Had I not left Truth when I did, I don't know that I would have become, air quotes, Principal Kafele, because the series of events, those on the thread that know my trajectory, you know what I'm talking about. The series of events would not have happened. I'm convinced, hear me well, book. I'm convinced that I had to go through the series of events to ultimately become Principal Kafele.
Yeah.
But watch this now, because now I'm gonna bring you in here.
Yeah.
You're vice president and dean at Morehouse.
Yeah.
But if I don't leave, I see you, Sancha Gray. If I don't leave in that third year, you don't become a principal yet.
Nope.
Because you're going to stay, not because you're not qualified to, but you're going to stay by my side.
Well, okay.
So let me finish, and then you
Let
tell.
you finish.
So I'm gonna stay. You're gonna still be my AP, right? So now, who knows how long we going before we split up, right? I know the opportunity's there because people see you as an AP, but in real time, we're here. So in my thinking I've never shared this with you, but this has been my thinking for the past 25 years.
Okay.
Is Kevin Booker what he became when he became it? If I stayed, I don't know, right? Because I don't know when that principalship was going to happen to let you shine as principal, right? Which then, for whatever the reason, you go back to Georgia, and the timing of being in Morehouse, and then here you are, as you know, I don't want to really be public with this right now, but it is online because I shared that petition, right? So there are folks that want you to be the president of Morehouse College. All I'm saying, you jump in here and correct me where I'm wrong or whatever you want to say.
Well, I'm going to add to what you're telling me when you finish, but go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know that our lives are the same if I stayed at that school and not left the time I left. You
right.
Holla.
Oh, man. So that was a crazy time. I never wanted to be a principal. You know, I talked about vision.
Yeah.
I had no vision beyond us being together, Kafele. That's how bad it was. Anybody that knows Baruti Kafele, big shoes, man. It's the personality, the voice. It's a real thing. I mean, there's nobody I know except maybe Ken Williams and Robert Jackson that's more passionate about life and speaking and revealing opportunities to others than you, right? And here I am, thrust, and you're gonna remember this. I wanted to go with you to Plainfield.
Yeah.
So much so that you said, all right, you kept telling me, nah, bro, you're a principal. You're a principal. But I had become so comfortable, and this is a good message, and I'm glad you brought this up for all those APs and principals that might have a tight relationship, or those APs that don't think you want to be a principal. This message is for you. Kafele told me over and over again, you are a principal. Stay here, run truth. You can do this. In my mind, I'm like, no, it don't get no better than this. I'm going with you. Let's do what we did here in Plainfield. So he says, okay. And this is after like weeks, because I'm like, I don't want you to go. And he's like, nah, I'm going. You know how he is when he makes up his mind. And it's going to be what it's going to be. And I was probably the one that could persuade you to change more than anybody else, except for, and shout out to Kim, your lovely wife, probably the second person in your life that can get you to change, or Levison. But anyway, nevertheless, we go out to Plainfield. I meet with the superintendent, have a 40-minute interview with him, and he says to me, congratulations, you're the principal of the rival school where Kafele is going to be principal. I said, what are you talking about? I didn't come out here to interview for a principalship. I came out to be his AP. He said, no, if you come here to Plainfield, you're going to be a principal. So it was Larry something. I can't remember his name, but it took him. Yeah. Never. Yep. It took him to get me to understand that I was meant to be a principal, even though you were telling me that all the time. And I was not going to go to Plainfield and be a principal if I wasn't working with you. So grateful that you made the move. Grateful that I was willing. And the crazy thing is, I was never asked if I wanted to be principal of truth. Kenneth King, if you're on here, shame on you. You didn't even say that to me. They just put me in the role because they were not going to, let me be an AP. So thank you for taking the risk to leave. I hated that you left because I think you broke up. It was a fantastic. One of the kids said Kobe and Shaq. I mean, I don't know who I am. I guess, I'll be Kobe.
Someone else said Jordan and Pippen. No, the same person said it. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, I mean, you're a phenomenal leader, and I'm blessed to have had the experience working under you and with all these wonderful people that are on. We were at the right place at the right time, and we had the right formula. And I tried to recreate it everywhere I've gone. I was successful in almost all places. Shout out to my Mildred Barry Garvin family. I see Hinton on here, and Solomon did some wonderful work at the elementary level as a principal there. Took one of the worst performing elementary schools and made it one of the best. So, and a lot of that was Kafele's ways, man. I mean, principles and values that last throughout whatever grade level or higher education, same concepts and principles. You would think college is much different than K-12, but it's a lot similar. Students don't care how much you know. They care about how much you care and how you can demonstrate that care in ways that's productive to their development and help them get to where they want to be.
Love it. Let's look at some of these talking points that you gave me. Let me see where we are. You said model the way through your leadership.
Talked a little bit about that earlier.
Yeah, well, give us some more now that we kind of outside of that East Orange mode. Let's go to the classroom now. We're in the classroom now, and we got the folks. Let me tell you something, Booker. The volume of people who tell me either in person or send me a note to say I go to grad school or I graduated from grad school. That Saturday Academy eclipses everything that I got out of grad. I hear that all the time. People tell me that all the time. This thing would prepare me more so for principal leadership or AP leadership than anything I ever got in grad school. Right. So, that matters to me. And that's why I don't miss any weeks. I've been consecutive for 227 Saturdays. I haven't missed a Saturday. Right. So for that, so let's go into the classroom now. And there's somebody on here right now. It's the start of a brand new school year. The people in the South and some of the West Coast states, they started in August, but now here we are in New Jersey, New York, getting ready to jump on board. Talk to somebody out there who maybe struggled last year with this, or they're new to it like you and I were. What are you saying to them? Model the way through your leadership.
Right. So, and this is coming from the concept of being a principal, but nevertheless, leadership is in all that are in education, right? So you have to, one, know who you are and know what you want from your own experience. We're big on goal setting, right? So you should have your goals set and the strategies you want to utilize to accomplish those goals. And you need to be modeling that by sharing that with those that you lead and others. You need to speak your vision into existence. You can't be a visionary leader and nobody else know what your vision is. So you need to be your vision, speak to your vision on a daily basis. You got to model that. And you have to know that there are people watching you at all times, right? A lot of leaders, they forget that, and they make some choices and decisions that are not wise. So you got to model those decisions that you're making as well, and make sure you're modeling them. And you got to treat people fairly. We all, as leaders, have our favorite teachers, right? Because we know there's some teachers that go extra hard, or employees in our building that may go extra hard than others. But you have to treat everyone fairly and respectfully. And even though you might have a favorite, but you got to be level playing, and you got to model that behavior. And the same with your students, because you want all of your students to feel that they are a part of your leadership. So you have to do those extra things that we talked about, meeting them at the bus, meeting them when they leave the school, speaking with them, learning their names. You don't know how great a student feels when their building leader knows their name. That's simple. Spend the first 5 days learning your students' names, and then take the extra step and learn something about them. Kafele and I, as teachers and as principals, we did home visits. That's out of the ordinary. We did practice visits. We were at football practice. We were at games. We were everywhere. Students didn't know where they would see us. But we also demonstrated that we cared, because we highlighted their success in the classroom and outside of the classroom. We had a wall of success, the Hall of Fame. Any school that doesn't have a Hall of Fame, you need to be ashamed of yourself. You should be honoring your students and your teachers, right? And your staff. If there's somebody achieving, everybody needs to know, because we're a family. And we created that at Truth. Create a family environment. And that starts, if you're the leader of the building, it starts with you. If you're in the classroom, it starts with you. If your students don't want to be in your class, that's a problem. You're not modeling the way through your leadership. You got to model what you expect from everyone else.
You said a lot there. I want to hit on two of them in particular. That Hall of Fame. I remember instituting that in every school I led, the 4 schools that I led. But it was something about North Tech, where for the first time in my career, I worked in a high school. And to see how they reacted to their names on that hallway, that lobby hallway bulletin board, it's like, you know how children do. They want to touch their name, right? So they got their finger on their name. We put plastic over it because I wanted them to be able to touch it, right? Because it's one thing to say, don't touch it. Nah, let me let them touch it. But let me put plastic over it so it doesn't get smudged. So it was something about, and just for the fam out there, so you have full understanding of what we mean. We didn't do the, the top students in the school type thing that people do, and you got like 7 people on the wall.
Right.
We had a criteria where we said the tops, whatever, a criteria for every subject area. So we said, if you met the criteria in a given subject area, any subject area, then we're going to recognize you. So let's say that you failed everything but math, you were a whiz. All right, fine. That's a little opening that we can exploit. So we said you are a math student of the month. So now we got this bulletin board that every month it kept growing and growing and growing because you got more students on, or more students in more subjects. And now we get to recognize so many kids. Just imagine what that's doing for the culture, fam. It's transforming the culture of a school, because we're recognizing kids. Kids are used to seeing their names on the board for disciplinary reasons. Now we're putting their names on a hallway board, a bulletin board, to say to them, we see you. We see the good things you're doing, right? But here's where I want you to jump in on this one, Booker. Modeling, you mentioned it, but you said it in passing. Modeling your leadership outside of school. See, this one of the things, because of the work I do, I get to see what a lot of people do not do. You see, like Ken is on here, so Ken and others, you mentioned Robert. So we get to see things, schools, districts that most people are never going to see, because we get to see them in all 50 states, right?
Right.
So, and we get to see them suburban, rural, and urban.
Mm-hmm.
So I see things, and I'm seeing this new generation of teacher in my audiences. It's a different audience preparation for me. I get to see this new generation of leadership. That's a different preparation for me. Content is content, but in terms of my emotional, mental preparation, it is very different, because I know that, like, I compare it to doing assemblies. With an assembly, I got 5 seconds to deliver, right? If particularly if it's an urban assembly. If I don't deliver, if I don't capture their attention in them first 5 minutes, then I might as well grab my bag and get up out of there, because I'm not going to be productive for that hour, right? So I'm finding now with this younger leadership in here, right? Because society has changed. So you got this younger leadership. I've got to really be prepared for that younger leadership, because I'm coming in the room at 63. That's what this old cat know about what we do. So I got to be prepared for that, and I am. But let me take that to another level. And I promise you, I'm going to flip it to you now. That leadership is not only leading in the building. That leadership has a life, or the teacher, but I want to focus on leadership since that's who our audience is. That leadership has a life outside of school. Talk to us about the fact that, and this is me, if you disagree, I want you to tell me that the switch never turns off, because you don't know who's going to see you. And as my wife, who's standing right in the next room, could attest, we could be in a foreign country.
Absolutely.
Someone says, Principal Kafele. But what if I'm behaving in a way that's not consistent with Principal Kafele? Uh-oh. I just violated my brand, and I may not be able to restore it. Holla.
You summed it up well. It's everywhere, right? I'm here in Atlanta. I can't go to any surrounding county and run into my students. I actually ran into students in France.
See?
In France, I mean, unexpectedly. So, and parents, right? I've been in Virginia recently, ran into some parents. So you always, once you choose to go this path, it doesn't cut off. It doesn't cut off. And you have to be prepared to handle that and deal with that. It is a lot. But if you love and you're committed to this, it also is warming that people feel that connected to you, that they want to make sure that they know they see you when you may not see them. It comes with the territory. We're not celebrities by any means, nor do we think. We're very humble people. But it is nice to have someone admire and respect you that much that they want to make themselves known when you're in their presence. But because of that, you've got to keep in mind that you're constantly under the microscope. Constantly. And it, you know, not that you want to do negative things with your life, but you got to be mindful. I mean, I occasionally drink alcohol, but I know that I can't get sloppy and drive my car and put myself in a situation where I have Morehouse broadcast all over the news because I'm one of the senior leaders of that institution. I have to protect and garner that. So sometimes I have to say no to my peers and my friends that may want me to do more than what I'm capable of doing. And I got to be okay with that, because I know, you know, what it means to be in the field that I'm in and to have the opportunities that I have. So we got to garner and respect this great opportunity we have as a leader, especially when we are working with young people. So it's a tremendous responsibility, but one I don't take for granted.
You just said something, man. I'm going to stay right here. You talked about, yeah, we gonna have that occasional drink. I'll have, and I don't mind. I love being transparent and vulnerable. I'm a Corona guy, right? So I'm gonna have dinner, and I'm talking to the fam out there too. My wife and I at dinner. I'm gonna have my little Corona, but I'm not gonna overdo it.
Right.
So if somebody walks in that restaurant and I got that Corona sitting on the table, I'm good with that. right? I'm good with it. But if you see me, which you won't, I promise you, see me in a way that compromises my brand, my identity, the way you perceive me, right? You're not going to see that. So I'm saying to somebody out there right now, this is not even a question now. I'm talking to somebody in the fam right now, the AP New Principals Academy fam. I know that some of us, particularly when we're younger, we think, no, there is an off switch, right? There's an off switch in terms of your self-preservation and your self-care. There's definitely an off switch. Like Ken is somewhere laying on a beach, right? There's an off switch, right? Or a lake, I think he said. However, that's not the switch I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about that switch where you have presented yourself in a way that your staff and students see you as Superman and Superwoman, and then they see you outside of that, and you are the exact opposite of what they thought you were. I'm gonna get a little closer to the camera on that one. You ain't getting that back, right? That's the point I'm making. You're not getting that one back because now everybody's gonna be talking about it. You don't know what they're saying behind the scenes.
Correct.
So I'm saying to one of them young heads out there, in the name of keeping it real and authenticity, and sometimes we use those words on steroids, that if you're once you're in this leadership role, you are leader 24/7. Every time you walk out your door, you leader, because you don't know who's going to see you. Like the both of us have said on here, we have been spotted in foreign countries. We've been spotted in foreign countries. So we could be thinking, all right, I'm away from it now. Let me let my guard down. Nah, man. I don't care where you are. You don't know who's traveled. I put the post up yesterday, Thursday, I mean, and it's people all over the country who are former students checking in with all these comments. Right? Young lady Kelly, who's on here now, said, man, all they talk about down here in Fulton County is Mr. Booker. Right? So but folks could be talking about Mr. Booker, but don't know who he is. I go places all the time. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just telling you what people say. I go places and they say, finally, I'm finally meeting the legend. I hear that. I don't call myself a legend, but that's how they're perceiving me. They'll say, I'm finally meeting the legend. Now, what if they meeting me, but I'm doing something foul? Like now it's like, you ain't what I thought you were, right? So to the young head out there, that switch don't turn off.
Right.
Right. Keep that in mind. It turns off for your self-care and your self-preservation. But in terms of who you are as leader, it's on 24/7.
And again, Kafele's passion is incredible. 227 straight episodes.
Yeah.
That's modeling. I'm not doing that, but you are. Right? That's incredible.
Yeah.
The dedication and what I mean, I know this man wrote a book in a weekend.
Yeah.
Who does that? That's modeling, right? Incredible, man.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, just trying to model the right stuff. Let's go to this next talking point, man. You said improve student academic performance. Someone might say, okay, yeah, we do that, but let me hear that Kevin Booker philosophy in terms of exactly what you're talking about here.
Right, you got to have the right people for the right jobs, right? We were very good and astute at hiring teachers, and we let teachers know what our expectations were in the process. We always didn't agree on our hires, but 98% we were right because we wanted people that were honest and true in what they knew and what they didn't know, and that they had the ability to deliver on what they did, right? And setting them up in spaces and places where they could be successful. So again, you want to have the right teachers teaching the right subjects and teaching in a way in which they can bring a low performer up. And you want a teacher that's willing to go the extra mile. Now, sometimes you've got to be able to encourage or incentivize teachers to want to do more. That's not a hard thing to do. You just got to be creative. But if you have those sparkling teachers, go the extra mile with them so that they can help improve the academic performance of your students. And as the building leader, Celebrate your students. Know your students' progress. If there's a student that has not been doing well in classes, but you've had a conversation with that student and redirected them, and now they're making progress, make sure that student hears that from you and knows. Uh, I'm at the collegiate level. I did something. We don't have a Hall of Fame wall, but what I've done is put up what you would call, I guess, murals of students' experience. You walk into our student center, which is small by most student center means, it's loaded and stacked with pictures of the student experience.
Mm.
Every day, I see 10 to 12 students standing in front of each mural trying to find themselves or looking for who they know and asking the question, when am I going to get a photo up? And why? Why are they looking for that? Everybody wants to be recognized. Recognize your people. It's not hard. And improve those that are academically low performers by putting them with the right teachers and making sure they have the right resources.
Love it. This young lady here, Jean, I think her last name is pronounced Broyles. She's a nationally highly respected consultant. And we haven't met in person yet, but we've been interacting for years over Facebook. I feel like I know her. And she says here, and I put this up because going back to the previous conversation, because it's so important, your circle can impact your brand as well, good and bad, right? Y'all check out Jean Broyles on Facebook and then find her website, or you can put it right in the thread, Jean, so that they can know who you are, what you do. But yeah, that circle, we talk about the circle with children,
right?
But sometimes that circle as a principal can have some adverse implications as well, right?
We work with some, right?
Yeah. So so be mindful of that. You said something when we were talking about the achievement that it triggered something. So I wrote a note to myself. Let me ask you this question, and I'm going to answer the question as well. If you had I don't see myself going back to a principalship. The only way I would is I'm a fan of Henry Hamilton. He was supposed to be on here. It's the only date that I remember. He was supposed to be on here April 6th. And at the 11th hour, he said he couldn't be on. And I was so excited about having this conversation with my 7th and 8th grade principal, who became my colleague. And then so we're going to reschedule at some point. But the only way I would go back is if I followed in his footsteps here. I'm 70 something years old, and I decide, let me do this until I'm 80 something, like he's doing it, right? But now, nah, I'm not going to do it right now. But here's the thing I want to ask you, and I want to answer my own question. If you could go back, what's that thing that you didn't do, or you didn't do it the way you would do it now based on your new information and just experience with life? What's that thing you would do? For me, let me answer it first. I am probably one of the loudest voices in America on instructional leadership. I wrote the book that's coming out in December about instructional leadership. I do full day seminars, week-long seminars on instructional leadership. This is what I do. But I know in my truth days that I understood it theoretically. As if my guy Josh is still on here, Sergio Vanni was an author that we all had to read his books in grad school. And I mentioned him years ago, and Josh always says his name on the thread. He said it today, but I forgot. But I always say I deprived the staff that I supervised of an instructional leader, me. Not even speaking for you, me, because I wasn't ready to become that, because it was too much I had to learn. So by depriving the staff, I therefore deprived the students, right? Because I was that guy that showed up in classrooms, but I'm not going to call that instructional leadership, instructional coaching. Later in my career, I figured that part out. So if I could go back to truth, that's what I would bring to truth that I didn't have in truth at the time, right? What about you when you think back on
So,
Mildred Barry Garvin's school? Is there something that wasn't there, but you learned over time that you would bring it back if you were to go back?
so I wouldn't go to Garvin. I would go to Forest Park Middle School, and that was in Clayton County.
Yeah, I know that school.
Right. So that was the school that I took on when I moved from Georgia. This was my Joe Clark moment. And regrettably, I failed, right? And I think failure is very important. So I'm going to be vulnerable for a minute. I've had a very successful career, but this was a point in my life where I moved to a new place. I took on the worst school that they had when they lost their accreditation. And I was hired by a strong superintendent who was from out of state and was under fire. And people that know Georgia, they know that there's been a battle for Clayton County for many years because we're centrally located next to Fulton, which is close to Atlanta. So it's a racial divide there as well. So there was some racial tension, and I have the worst elementary school by numbers in the county. And unfortunately, because of all of the political unrest, I didn't have all of the tools that I needed to be successful. But because I was in such a new environment, I didn't use the skill set that I had in Jersey to advocate for myself the way that I should have and save myself from what was going to be a failing experience. So instead, I allowed things to happen to me as opposed to addressing the things and dealing with them in the way that I probably should have in a better way. So could have stayed in Clayton County, but that was my opportunity then to grow from that experience and step away from education, K-12, and look at education from a different lens now in higher ed. So I don't regret making this decision to step away, but what I do regret is that I was not a better advocate for myself. So some of you may be in situations where you may not have all your resources and where you may not have the support that you think you need. But realize that there is support around you that may not be in your district. It may not be in your building, but support is there. And it's important for, and this is a great example of support, right? Principal Kafele's AP and New Principals Academy. If something like this existed when I was going through that struggle, I may have been able to benefit from it. You know, I had a relationship with you, and when I decided to speak with you, it was towards the end of my era in that space, right? But failure is important. I say this again. It taught me more than I ever learned through my successes, right? It was during that experience I learned how much I could take and what I couldn't take and how I could make things better in a negative situation. So I have no regrets that I went through that experience because I believe it helped my leadership to the point where it is today. But understand that you don't have to suffer in silence if you're in an environment that's not conducive or you don't have the support that you need. Get the help that you need, and you always can move. That was the other thing with me. I didn't realize that I could move to something else. It was almost to the point where I had to do something, right? Don't ever feel that you're in a leadership situation that you cannot move out of, because you can. And you can and you can benefit from the move. So just remaining open-minded and learning from failure. So no regrets, but I wish I would have done more to advocate for myself.
You make some strong points, and happy birthday to John Cook. I don't know if you know John or not.
Oh yeah, I know John. I'm gonna see him in a couple weeks at STEM.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think his birthday was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, John.
More East Orange in the building. You talked about suffering in silence. I just want to reiterate to the fam out there, you don't have to suffer in silence. Let me let you in on this, fam. When I made the decision to be exclusively on YouTube, I knew that was a bad decision for this reason. A lot of friendships created, professional relationships created from this platform via Facebook. Because with Facebook, I was seeing that folks were tagging each other, communicating with each other, becoming friendly with each other. There's a whole lot of relationships that came about as a result of this. YouTube doesn't give you that luxury. So I told my entire family that that's the part I don't like about what I did. And that was the second time I tried to do that. Some of you have been rocking with me for a long time. I tried to make that switch about 2 years ago. And for that reason, I went back to Facebook, right? So I'm saying that to say this. Some of you, not only do you have the people that are in your immediate vicinity that you can lean on because you don't want to suffer in silence, but some of you have the people on this thread that you can lean on, right? You have me to an extent. It's just that I live a difficult life, right? So I receive about 500 communications a day, right? Literally between Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and email and text messages. It's about 500 a day, right? So it's hard for me to communicate the way that someone may want to, but there's a whole lot of people on here that are on here every week.
Yeah.
You have access to them. Even though you didn't see them folks maybe on the platform yet, you see them on here every day. They're working. They know this work, right? They just come on here for a little something extra. So don't fail to reach out to some of the names that you're familiar with that are on the thread all the time, because they may be dealing with the same things that you're dealing with, the same challenges, same obstacles, same pressures, same demands, same crises that you're dealing with. But you got to have the audacity to send them an inbox, and maybe the two of you can communicate further about it and find it. Your colleague has already resolved this issue. Let me show you what I did. Right. So that's important. That's important. And I'm not going to drop names, because if I drop some of these names, then y'all going to be reaching out to all of them, because I'm literally looking at names who have been with me from day one. Right now I see them. Right. I ain't gonna call y'all names because I don't want to create an avalanche of people reaching out to these folks. But I am saying that you got people who are very receptive on this thread, because I know these people. There are people on this thread. I'm looking at their names right now. I did not know them before this platform. Now I've been in their presence, like not virtually, but in person. We're friends. We know each other. We've taken pictures together, right? So that's how this works. You got to utilize these folks who are here. You don't have to suffer in silence. And I tell you, if you stay in this business for at least, as a leader, at least 10 years, you are going to have some suffering times in your life. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just what it is, right? True. Yeah, we gonna deal
with it. You went through it. You battled the superintendent.
Woo! Let me tell you something, man. A part of me was going to spend this entire session, well, a good portion of this session, where you and I have just recollect on that period. But then I said, nah, I don't need to put you through that, because because I don't need you attached to that. So I changed my mind. And the reason it was even a thought is because September, which is tomorrow, that's the 20th anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the 20th anniversary. September 17th is the 20th anniversary of my suspension. My September 19th is the 20th anniversary of me being on 98.7 KISS FM talking about it. September 22nd is the 20th anniversary of my termination hearing. Now, see, to the fam, you got to be a bad dude to be on this public platform even telling the world that I had a termination hearing, right? But see, I'm good with it, because it's part of the nature of the work. It's part of the story. Right. And if those of you who are spiritual, right? Let me just highlight you real quick. When I said the Booker earlier, if you were with us all the way through, when I said the series of events, I wasn't specific, but I've talked about those series on this platform. It's not like I'm disclosing like something new. I'm not like giving you breaking news. If you've been on here, you know about this. If you're from East Orange, And if you're from North Jersey, you know about this. It was all over the news channels, right? It was all over the headline story in the newspaper, the radio. So it's not breaking news. But what I'm saying to you, I'm talking to the spiritual people right now. In order, because when that happened, I was not Principal Kafele yet. I was Mr. Kafele. In order to get, this is for the spiritual people. The rest of y'all just sit tight for a second. In order to get to Principal Kafele, world renowned, I had to go through that termination hearing. Because God said, I want to see what you made out of.
That's right.
Let me see, can you endure your name being smeared in the media? The television news. I'm the lead story. It said principal under fire. The newspaper headline, principal escorted out of the building by the East Orange police. I shouldn't even be saying this with you on here, man.
It's true. It's all true. I'm with you.
The radio, the late, great James Mtume. Y'all love that song Juicy by Biggie, but you may not have known that it was sampled from Juicy Fruit by Mtume, who wrote music for Roberta Flack, who wrote music for Stephanie Mills, who wrote music for Ashford and Simpson, who wrote music for so many people. Well, he was the host of the talk show, and I'm on his show, Open Line, with Bob Slade and Bob Pickett to talk about a new book I wrote. But the callers in East Orange gave me love, and they called up and they said, Kafele, why are we talking about a book when you getting ready to get fired on Wednesday? And Mtume said, what? And I said, I ain't talking about that, Mtume. I'm here to sell this book. I'm trying to sell a book. So he said, no, we talking about this. So I said, okay. He said, what happened? So I said, I fought for my kids. I fought for them. The superintendent wanted me to chain the doors so that the kid, this is a different suit, not me and Booker superintendent, it's another suit. He didn't want the kids to leave for this after school program. He wanted me to chain the doors so they couldn't leave and go home in the dark. I refused. I said, I will not. So I got suspended. And then I had a termination hearing. And so now Mtume says, if you are under my voice, this station, this program had 2 million listeners, FM. 98.7 in New York. He said, if you list under my voice, be at the East Orange board meeting. Man, we couldn't even drive in the parking lot, y'all.
Yep.
All them people came out.
Yep.
They wouldn't let the people speak. Them people said, we speaking. Guess what? They spoke. Yep. So now the board voted unanimously 7-0. They said, Kafele, report back to school tomorrow. You did nothing wrong. But if I hadn't been the fighter that I was and just punked out to the whole thing, then I would have been terminated that night.
Yep.
But I'm a fighter. So I fought, and the boy said, you ain't do nothing. I see you DeLacy. Now, how am I talk about East Orange and DeLacy?
That takes us back.
Man, DeLacy, man, what you doing here, man?
He was wrapped up in all that stuff.
Yep. DeLacy said, teach hard, man. Listen, man. Look, I'm only sharing this with you. I'm going to give y'all a fuller story because I'm trying to do a documentary on it. But listen, I'm only even bringing this up to say that stuff is going to hit the fan. Yep. That's all we saying. And are you going to be prepared for it? I had a student on here about 4 months ago, Ivana Wade. She was an 8th grader with me. She led the fight. Now she's an education consultant nationally. I saw her yesterday on FaceTime when I was in New Horizons Community Charter School. So I'm just saying this, y'all. Stuff's going to happen if you're going against the grain, doing the right thing. Like, y'all only know Mandela, Malcolm, King, and I can go on and on. Garvey, Tubman, Truth, Bethune, and I can go on and on. Y'all only know these people. because they lived their lives going against the grain. And had they not gone against the grain, you wouldn't know they exist. You wouldn't have known they were born. I decided to live my life, my principal life, my teaching life, going against the grain. That's why people know Principal Kafele. I went against the grain. I'm not worried about nothing. So I fought for my students. I advocated for them. I wasn't going to allow them to stay in that school all hours of the night. And I paid a heavy price for it. But going through that series of events allowed me to emerge as Principal Kafele. Because I was not him during those days. I was just Mr. Kafele, the principal. Right? Understand that, somebody. Let me get back on track. My wife probably saying, man, I knew he was going to
tried to go there though. You gotta get it up.
I tried not to, but yeah, it's necessary talk. I see that DeLacy knows Kelly, right? So let me go back, y'all. Let me get back, man, because I want y'all to get this information. You said this is a big one too, Booker. You said increase enrollment of minority students in gifted programs and expose students to state and national academic competitions. Holler at somebody out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't begin to tell you how many students that are Black and brown that don't have opportunities to take gifted classes or dual enrollment courses, and they're missing out on great opportunities. So if you are a leader and your Black and brown students are not in these courses, shame on you. They need to be in there, and they need to be amongst the same numbers in equality. If you have white or other students of other nationalities, there needs to be equal wealth in those courses. I'm at an elite, historically Black college and university at Morehouse, and so many of our students do well academically because they've been exposed to gifted classes at the high school level and middle school level, as well as dual enrollment courses. And we all know that with dual enrollment, it allows our families financial breadth to not have to spend as much to pay for a collegiate education. Now, we want to talk scholarships and all that good stuff, but we know students are not applying for scholarships at the rate we want them to. But if you want to defer the cost of an education, a collegiate education, the best thing to do is have your students engaged in dual enrollment classes and or advanced study classes so that they're academically prepared and ready to get through their college experience and matriculate in some cases less than 4 years. So we want to make sure that we, as building leaders, are pushing that. Talk a little bit about competition. We said it earlier. There's nothing like taking Black and brown students outside of an urban environment or whatever type of environment they're in and getting them exposed to competition, as well as being able to demonstrate the ability to share what they know. I think it builds confidence and character in ways that we don't realize. Many of the conversations that I have with those students, they share the impact that it's made on their lives and how they feel much different in other types of social settings as a result. So definitely want to encourage that. And it's a way to represent your school differently than athletics. I'm all about athletics all day long, but it's something to see gifted students in debate. Morehouse, we've got one of the best nationally ranked debate teams. We're going to be competing against, and shameless shout out, Howard University on September 13th at Kane University. We're going to destroy Howard. Our debate team is phenomenal. We beat Harvard. So you get really thrilled and excited when you see young people, Black and brown young people, speaking and performing something other than an athletic event. So, it's just a phenomenal experience. So expose your students to those competitions. And we did that.
Now, you know, you said something that stood out for me. Like, okay, and I know you come up here and engage in these competitions and even the football games at MetLife and all that kind of thing. But when you go to when your debate team goes to Kane, will you be there?
Yeah, I will be there that evening. And Sancha, thank you for putting information in about Kane. She's a vice president at Kane University, one of our one of our star teachers. Look at it. You know, Dr. Gray.
Well, let's go. Hey, Sancha Gray, Dr. Gray, let me just be honest now. I hired Dr. Gray. As a young teacher, math teacher at Sojourner Truth Middle School,
right?
Who went on, I won't get into the whole story, but went on and became superintendent of Asbury Park Schools and now vice president at my alma mater, Kane University. Let me tell y'all something, man. Let me tell the fam out there something. We ain't playing, man. we ain't playing with it. See, it's people that like do the consultant stuff, and like they ain't never done this work. They just speak very well, right? And they research very well. Right?
It's true. We lived it.
They ain't got no receipts.
It is something when you can say a vice president came out of your building, man.
Yeah.
APs.
They ain't got no receipts.
Readers, man. Yeah.
They go Deidre Smith. She know.
Yeah.
See, like all these truth people are showing up. Sancha Gray, Deidre, and that. Oh, by the way, I didn't hire Deidre Smith Sneed, right? But I was there when she was young. I was there when she was a baby. Like the both of us were.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm not going to take credit. Don't get me wrong, but she is Dr. Deidre Smith Sneed, right? Who's also been on this platform, by the way. Right. Let me tell y'all something, man. We had some of the greatest at Truth School. We did. When I see a Deidre Smith Sneed, when I see a Sancha Gray, when I see our Janet Royal, who was Tisdale when we had her, and so many others, we had some great people. But I'm gonna tell you something else. We also helped to make some people greater than they were, right? So so we're not playing, man. We're not playing. We not just the ones that got the story. We got the receipts.
Oh, we're blessed.
We got the receipts, man. We got them. So anyway, let's keep going. Hey, y'all, hang in there with us. I haven't been saying hit the share button because there's so many of y'all on here. I'm looking at all four platforms combined. We're almost at 1,000 just real-time people. That's, we're not talking about the people that's been in and out. We're talking about the people that's like right here, right in this moment. And that's a lot of folks. And I'm curious to see the numbers once I get off to see how many want to tune in and get some of this information. So this is just good stuff. We appreciate you for it. Let me go to this next one. We're gonna move quick. You said, and this is another strong one, hire and mentor minority teachers and administrators. And before you go, Booker, let me say this to the folks. Let me put the mirror up. Going back to what you were saying about gifted students and other activities for students to be engaged in. I just want to put the mirror up to ask each of you, that student that's flying under the radar.
Yeah.
What do you have in place to catch that student? Because you all know my story. I went to high school for 5 years. You know that. I attended 4 different high schools. You know that my highest grade in high school was the letter D. That's it. But I graduated from Kane University summa cum laude, right? So I didn't get smart like all of a sudden I said, let me get smart. It don't work that way. It was already there, but there was nothing, there was no people, no mechanism, no structures, no nothing in place to say there's something in that young man. I had to figure that out on my own, right? Certainly my mom, who's on here watching, had my back and was doing all she could do, but I wasn't ready to respond to her yet. But once I did, I just went from 0 to 100. I guess I'm quoting Drake real quick, right? But I need to throw some Kendrick Lamar in there to balance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? They not like us. They're not like us, right? So we'll put it like this: them folks that do all that research and all that speaking, but they never did this work. They not like us. right? So now we got the balance, right? So I'm saying to y'all, man, don't let that youngster fly under the radar, right? Don't let them fly under the radar. Make sure that you're identifying that youngster as well. Let me go back to where we were now. Hire and mentor minority teachers and administrators. What are you telling us?
Not a whole lot to say there other than do the work, right? Find the best and brightest and want them to do the work in your building. Again, you're modeling, you're sharing, and we did that, man. We really worked hard on finding like-minded teachers that would buy in to our vision for what education should look like. You want people that will be committed and will go above and beyond. And you find that by asking the right questions. What's your connection to children? Why do you want to be here? You'd be surprised how many people are in our profession and don't like kids. How can you be an educator and don't like kids? But that's not a question we ask people, right? What is your perception of children and their development? Do you enjoy being around kids? And in what ways? I mean, we don't ask those types of questions. We assume that because they're educators, they like kids. But that should be your first question. How do you feel about children? And if they're telling you and giving you signals that they don't like kids or they don't like minority kids, and we can find that out too, because you can see it, you got to get rid of them quick.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to help move your institution.
That's right.
But you want people that love children and love to develop them. If you don't hire them, you will be hurt.
Will be hurt. You know what's interesting about you, and you know this, I attend and present at the Black Male Educators Convening, which is a conference in Philly led by Sharif El Mekki, who's been a guest on this platform. I'm in the room last year in November, and there's these young men from Morehouse in their Morehouse jackets, three or four. And I say to them, y'all from Morehouse? Yeah. You know Kevin Booker? Dean Booker? They called you up on the phone, right? Right while we were in the room. So you sending kids to conferences and so forth, and it's so important because now the energy in that room at that conference, that's a different kind of space, y'all. I don't even have the time to explain it, but the energy in that room, if one aspires to become a teacher, once because it's like a 4-day conference. Once they finish them 4 days, 3 or 4, whatever it is, they're probably going to go on and pursue education because that's a different kind of energy there. That's all Black men. There's some women who just out of curiosity, they want to be there, and that's not a bad thing. Just like the Million Man March, there were women there out of curiosity and support, but it's primarily men. It's 1,000 men there, right? Some are teachers, some are aspiring, and everything in between. And it just what a time we have. So to see those young brothers, they were students at Morehouse in their Morehouse jackets in my session, sitting in the front row, I might add. Right? It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing.
And we push that, man, right? It's hard to be what you can't see, right?
Yeah.
You got to be there. So their presence is important. And honestly, it's my quiet passion has been, pushing young men to become educators because we need to have a pipeline of young African-American collegiate graduates back in this field. As we know, the shortage is ridiculous. And we all have our work to do to help push that. But that's been what I've been quietly doing since I've been at Morehouse. So glad you shared that the brothers were there and represented well.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I'm gonna throw one more at you because I see we rolling up on 2 hours. So I'm gonna throw one more at you. I think I like this one here. Enable others to lead.
Right. So you've done that on this show, right? There are several talents on this show, and you have highlighted who they are. You've mentioned names.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we do as building leaders or leaders in our own right is give others the opportunity to shine. You could have stayed at Truth. For whatever reason, you felt it was your time to go, but you let me know this is you, right? If you're not building for the next person or pouring into the next person so they can become who they're supposed to become. You're failing as a leader. One of the greatest attributes of a leader is how many other leaders are produced under that leader's leadership. I mean, just looking at this call alone, brother, we could drop the mic.
Yeah.
We could drop the mic literally. And then the young people, we've done the work and continue to do the work. As leaders, we have to build the next group of leaders, and we want them to be as good or better than we are.
That's
And
right.
if you're not pouring into their experience and giving them the mentorship and development that they need to become that, you're failing as a leader. So we've got to enable them to have the responsibility, and we got to let them fail. Right? We got to let them fail, because I've already expressed it. If you don't have the opportunity to fail in an environment that is an authentic one, that is looking out for you to develop, when you get out into the real world or getting out into the next experience, it may not be as accepting of your failure as you would be in an environment that nurtures you. It's what I believe all my career. I went to a high school Newark St. Benedict's Prep that allowed us to lead as students. And I've taken that attribute to Morehouse, and I allow our students to lead. I mean, we send them to conferences on their own, not with a chaperone, and they have the ability to make mistakes, right? But they understand what those mistakes might represent. But they're learning those skills now so that when they attain whatever positions they have, they're mature and responsible enough to handle them. So enable others to lead. Give people responsibilities that you may have and hold on to. Share that wealth. You're growing your people so that they can run your building when you're not there, or be the next in line to run your building, or both. So pour into your people so that they can benefit from your tutelage and leadership. Kafele gave me everything. Anything I wanted to know or learn, he would answer, ask, provide. Even if I didn't want to learn it, he would still pull me in. Do that. Force people to do things that they not necessarily want to do, but enable them to have those opportunities.
Appreciate you, my brother. Great stuff. Great stuff. We have a segment on here that's called the BAM questions. There are 20 questions. I'm just getting my screen right. Here we go. There are 20 questions that BAM impact questions. There are 20 rapid fire questions. 1 word answer, 1 sentence maximum. If you find yourself inserting a comma, then I jump in and say, right? So that means it's too long. This is just, if you watch All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, when they do them rapid fires at the end, and that's what we are. So let me get that screen. There we go. So here we go. Is education on the right path for underserved children?
No.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Yes.
Does Kevin R. Booker's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Yes.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
No.
Why? And you can give a sentence, by the way. All right.
It would be absolutely what it is now.
Why do you continue to do this work?
Make a difference.
What fires you up within the work that you do?
The young people.
What do you absolutely love about the work you do?
Seeing them develop and flourish, my students.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
The bureaucracy and politics.
What has been your greatest victory in this work thus far?
Seeing students succeed over a long period of time.
What has been your greatest mistake in your work?
Not always advocating for myself.
What has been your greatest challenge in this work?
Doing it without all the necessary resources at times.
Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
Absolutely.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Absolutely.
Who inspires you in your work?
My children, My colleagues, specifically my family, and my parents.
What are you reading right now? But it doesn't have to be a book, an article, a blog, a tweet, anything.
Actually, The Alchemist for the 4th time.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What book do you recommend for our viewers this afternoon?
There's a couple. I would probably say, and this is a common one: How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie.
There it is. That's
Yep.
it, y'all. I lost my place. Okay, here we go. What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
I would like to be president of Morehouse College.
There you go. Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
No.
What could you say to a viewer out there who continues to face closed doors?
Continue to do what you have to do to get the doors to open. Closed mouths do not get fed.
What could you say to a viewer out there who's lost their fire?
Reunite it, or you will lose it permanently.
And lastly, if Kevin R.
Reignite it.
Yeah. If Kevin R. Booker was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Determination.
Determination. Love it. Hey, folks, fam, you already started. What we do here, Booker, is the way we applaud our guests. We put our favorite emojis up, and the fam already knew that, and that's what they've been doing. But those of you who are here for the first time or just here because Booker's here, right? Whatever it is, give us your favorite emojis. Let us know if today's session was good for you, if it resonated for you, if it spoke to you, if it was practical for you, if you could take it back to school and use some of this content. Let us know, or if you just flat out enjoyed it, right? Let us know. Give us those emojis. I'm rocking my alternate jersey of a Negro League team today, the Cleveland Buckeyes. I'll be back to my regular jerseys in September, right?
Love it, family. Always teaching.
Always, man. I got a closet of about 200 and some change of Negro League jerseys upstairs, right? So I got my bat, got my Josh Gibson. You every time you went to plate, man, to the plate, it was 3 people on base, so you hit grand slams all 4 times, man. Hit it out the park. The baddest hitter in now major league history, not just Negro leagues, because of that integration. And the man, for those of you that don't know, Negro leagues, when the Yankees for the Yankee Stadium was one of the stadiums that was used when the Yankees were not home. So Josh Gibson is known to have hit a home run not only over the fence, but he hit it onto the streets in the Bronx, right? So, so that's the pass. So whenever I put my Josh Gibson jersey, I guess because I got the real flannel joint, I feel like Superman. And when I put my Satchel Paige on, I feel like Superman, right? And so many others. I ain't gonna name all of them, but so many others. I see them emojis, y'all. I see them.
Thank you, everybody, for all the love. Thank you, Kafele, for the opportunity. And I thank you, family. Love you all. Shout out to Nikki Burton.
Yeah.
Love everybody.
Hey, Booker, like the folks, I'm sure someone wants to have a word with you or at least see who you are. You're not a social media guy, but maybe you need to be. He does have a page, though, Kevin R. Booker on Facebook, right? He has a page. He's just not on it much.
Yeah. But my team at Morehouse handles our social media. My kids, they laugh at me all the time because I'm not there, but I try to leave them alone in that space.
But I'm gonna tell you this real quick, fam, before you leave. I'll tell you this real quick, Booker. Many of the people who have come on here, they have gotten invites to come out and speak, right? Whether it be a keynote or a workshop, right? So how can they reach you in case somebody on here heard you and said, I want this brother to come to our facility?
Wow. So the best way to reach me would be through my admin. I will can I put the information in the chat?
Yeah. Go ahead, type it in.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in.
You using Facebook?
I am using StreamYard.
Okay, and then maybe I think I can put it on.
I'll give it to you. Kimberly, Kimberly .Prather, Prather at morehouse.edu.
And if you didn't get that, rewind it. And if you still didn't get it, just Google Morehouse and you'll find it. He ain't
Yep.
hard.
No, I'm not hard to find at all.
He ain't fun. And since you said what you said, and Christy said Booker for Morehouse president.
My cousin, appreciate you, cuz.
There you go. There you go. Hey, I appreciate you, man. This was phenomenal. It exceeded expectations. I'm just glad you answered the call to come on here. Do me a favor, stay on even when I go off. I just want to end up here. I forgot to tell you that before. So when I hit end, stay there. Hey, y'all, thanks for being here. Those of you who came on just for Booker, come on back, right? Next week, right? We got another big one. I got these 4 Jersey women coming on. I'm staying in Jersey for 2 weeks. From out of Plainfield, I got Dr. Karen Cooper.
Ooh.
Out of South Orange, Maplewood, I got Principal Lynn Irby Hill.
Yes.
Out of East Orange, I got Principal Passion Hassan.
Yes.
And out of Newark, I got Principal Tiffany Overton, formerly Tiffany Stallings. For those that may have known her that way, turned out she was Vincent Stallings' cousin, and they didn't even know it until I told Vincent I got a Stallings at the school, and they hooked up and found out they were cousins, and he even went to her wedding this summer in Italy, right? So it's just funny how things happen. So they'll be on, and I'm not even gonna give you a topic because we're gonna be talking about a whole lot of things. Obviously, these are 4 Black women, so we will be talking about Black women in leadership. We will be talking about women in leadership, but we'll also be talking about first day preparation, or first beginning of the school year preparation, I should say, and a whole host of other things. When I got 4 people on, we got a lot that we can talk about. So join us next week. Next Saturday, Facebook Live, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, Sean Hurt. Followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. This is all Facebook Live. Me at 10:55 on either Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube, in any one of those. And then PDP Podcast with Josh Tovar and Dr. Marty Moreno on Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Join me for the School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele, October 8 and 9 in Houston. Google School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. It'll take you to Eventbrite. Register. Join me in Houston, October 8 and 9. We're going to be talking instructional leadership. I can't think of a better thing to talk about, so make sure you do so. Let me put this message up that I just got from Sancha Gray. Check out the college fair at Kane University, 9/11/24, leading up to the HBCU NY, Historically Black College University, New York. Classic at MetLife between Morehouse and Howard University, right? So check that out. Check that out. Check that out. Let me see where we at. Make sure you get your hands, if you don't have them, Is My School a Better School? Because I lead it. The Aspiring Principal 50, the Principal 50, the Assistant Principal Identity, and the book that is most important of all the books I've written for an assistant principal, the Assistant Principal 50. You all, I thank all of you. You guys have kept this an Amazon bestseller since I wrote it in 2020. And the new joint, What is My Value Instructionally to the Teachers I Supervise? It'll be available for pre-order in October, and it'll be released in December. So just be on the lookout, man. That's going to be the most important book I've ever written in my life. What is my value to the teachers? We changed the wording. That's why I keep it. My publisher said, we need to change that a little bit. I said, okay. So what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise, right? I had named it, What is My Value to the Teachers I Supervise Instructionally? They said to me, no, we got to shift that a little bit. I said, okay, if you think that's going to sell it better, then we will do it that way. All right, so here we go. Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and then hit that notifications button once you hit the subscribe button. Like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. I'll be starting back to writing my written Sunday morning commentary next Sunday because I took the summer off. In fact, I took the spring and summer off. So starting next Sunday, it'll be September, I'll be writing my Sunday morning commentary to coincide with the Saturday morning academy. And then finally, make sure you visit the principalkafele.com. Make sure you visit that to get all them free resources I got on the website, principalkafele.com. Your diet, y'all. Take care of yourselves. You can't do this work if you're not eating right. It'll catch up to you. How do I know? Because I had a heart attack. That's how I know. How do I know? Because type 2 diabetes came with my heart attack. How do I know? Because my main artery was clogged 100% with plaque, meaning grease, from all that fast food I was eating. How do I know? That means I was getting ready to die that night. I was getting ready to clock out of here. But those doctors, they were able to get that stent in right in time. And God said, I ain't done with you yet. Right. So make sure that you are taking care of you. Make sure you're getting that exercise in. Within the next half hour, I will be outside, not at the gym, outside doing 3 miles. Within the next half hour, I'm doing my 3 miles. So I'm modeling that too, Booker. So I'm telling you, I promise you, 30 minutes or less, I'm going to be out there doing my 3 miles. So what's your excuse? That college football game, record it, right? Get out there and do them miles. That's necessary. And then finally, them virus precautions, y'all. We got more than COVID out here. We got a little bit of everything flying around out here. So make sure that you are taking care of yourselves. Other than that, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace.
Peace, brother.
Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. Those of you wondering why I say bam impact, you're getting ready to find out right now. 1, 2, 3, bam. That's why we say bam impact. I see y'all next Saturday. Have a great week.